Hello everyone, good evening, and welcome to Old Iron Garage. Thank you for tuning in. So, in this video, I'm going to be working on a saw, on an old Homelite, a Super EZ Automatic. They're a nice, kind of in-between saw. I think they're like 40 or 45 cc. They got plenty of power for their size. You'll commonly see them with like a 16-inch bar. They're good for trimming or dropping and cutting up smaller trees. Yeah, anyways, so I originally was not going to make a video on this repair, but about halfway through I decided, yeah, I kind of wish I would have been recording video on working on this saw. So anyways, I'm going to spin this camera around, and then we're going to go over what I've done so far, and then we are going to, I'll probably throw in a video clip of it running, and then we're going to pick up right where I left off with repairs. Alright, so let's dive in. Alright guys, this is it. This is the Homelite Super EZ Automatic. Great saw. Very easy to start and use. And what makes this saw easy to start is there is a compression release. Hang on a second. Right down here. It's a compression release. Follow it up to here. You can see how that works. This button is also a trigger hold though. So pull the trigger, push that button in, let go of the trigger, and it holds the trigger, but it also holds the compression release. Makes it very easy to start. I love these saws. This is my go-to saw for a lot of my cutting. Not this particular one, but the same model, the Super EZ Automatic. So anyways, so when I have a few of these on the shelf. I have two that are my own personal, or from my own personal collection. One I use, and one's a nice, super nice original Survivor. So that one I don't really use for work. Actually cutting stuff up. I'll just fire it up every now and then. But I have a few extra of these on the shelf, and I had someone interested in one. So I just randomly picked one off the shelf and decided to throw it on the bench and take a look at it. So anyways, first thing I noticed was this handlebar was very loose and sloppy. Like, it moved a lot. So I took a look at it, and they didn't have the correct screw up here. They had a smaller diameter one that just went all the way through and had a couple of nuts on it, small nuts. Then on the bottom, there was no screw here, and then they had a long screw sticking out here with a couple of nuts on it as spacers. Yeah, what a mess. So I have an assortment of Homelite hardware, mostly used, and I got that. I didn't have any of the correct screws, so, but I had some that were the correct thread. They just were not long enough. So I took this handlebar, I put it in the vise, and I drilled the holes deeper. But I made sure to leave plenty of meat on the inside here, so that there's enough, there's enough thickness that the bolt head is not just going to rip through the aluminum and the handlebar comes off the saw. I did that for both of these holes, and now the screws that I have are threaded far enough into the saw that they have a good strong grip, but there's enough meat left in the handlebars that the handlebar is not going to break off. So then we go up top. I tried to do the same thing up there, but the reason they had done what they did with a smaller screw or a smaller bolt and a couple of nuts was because they had stripped out the threads. So we go over here, and I grab one of the screws used on the newer Homelite saw. You can see the difference in the thread as compared to these ones. This is what I used, or one like this, that type of thread is what I used for the two on the bottom, and would have used for the one on the top, but I used this because this is used for the newer saws with the plastic casing. That more coarse thread really bites in. So I drove that in up there, up top, and it went right in. It has a nice strong grip, and it works. I would have just used the correct hardware had I had it, but I didn't, not without robbing it from another saw. So what else did I do? So the next thing I looked into was I pulled off the air filter cover. Pulled this off just to take a look inside, see what we have in here. And I noticed that the bracket for the air filter cover was loose. It was missing this. It had the screw on the other side, but it was missing the screw on this side. So I looked in here, and this was the screw that it called for. This dinky little thing. Let's see if I can get it to there. In comparison to my finger, you know, it's pretty small screw, and I did not have another one that size. They were all too big. So I grabbed two of these style screws. Again, used on a lot of the later model plastic saws. But they have like a regular thread type, like a machine screw. And I took this bracket out and I drilled the holes out to the next size bigger and rethreaded them. And I put one of these in on each side. So that's nice and solid. What did I do next? Oh, I didn't know how long this had sat unused. And so I don't like to try to turn over an engine if it may have been potentially sitting for a very long time untouched, without lubricating the cylinder. So I pulled the spark plug, lubricated the cylinder, and then I checked it for spark. It had good, strong, consistent spark. So I'm like, okay, that's good. Put the spark plug back in, checked for compression. It had strong compression. So then what did I do next? Oh, I took the spark plug back out. I put a little bit of 2-cycle fuel here in this convenient squirt bottle. See, those are great for bottle feeding engines directly into the carburetor if you can't get it to stay running, but you want to hear it run to see if the engine is a good engine or not. I use those for bottle feeding through the carburetor. Anyways, I squirted some directly into the cylinder and put the spark plug back in and gave it a pull, and it popped right off and ran for a moment. So, yeah, anyways, so at that point, what did I do next? Oh, yeah, I looked in the fuel tank. There was a little bit of fuel, but it didn't look super, it didn't look super old. It didn't smell too bad. So I just added some more fresh fuel to the fuel tank, poured some fuel down the carburetor, and got it running. And at first, it didn't really want to stay running, but each time I got it to run, each time I got to fire up, it ran a little bit longer, so I kept playing with it and kept trying to keep it running. And finally, it just stayed running. My guess is, I've had that happen a lot in the past, messing with this old 2-cycle Homelite equipment. I'm guessing what causes that is, my guess is there's like a partial blockage in the carburetor, that the carburetor is like partially gummed up, and that with the fresh fuel flowing through it, it kind of dissolves it and washes it out. That's my guess. So anyways, as I was running it and tuning the carburetor, I went to shut it off, and I flipped the kill switch, and it did not shut off. Kept running. So I choked it to shut it off, pulled off the recoil cover, and I noticed the kill wire was not hooked up to the coil. So I figured, okay, well that can mean a couple things. It either just came off, on its own, or they forgot to reconnect it last time they were in there, last time a previous owner was working on it. Or it could mean that there's something wrong with the kill wire, kill switch circuit, and that it was constantly shorting out the coil and not allowing it to have sparks, so they just unplugged it and it was choking it to shut it off. So I hooked it back up and tried it, and it works fine. In the on position it starts and runs, in the off position it shuts off. So, yeah, this saw has been just very simple fixes so far. Very happy with it so far. Then I cleaned the air filter, put it back in, and then retuned the carburetor with the air filter on it. And that brings us to where we are now. So, sorry, that was kind of a lengthy update. I did do a fair amount off camera before now. So, in this, I am planning on giving this saw a nice bath, too. It's pretty dirty. Going to take some covers off and give it a real nice bath, inside and out. Get it all cleaned out and blown out. And so that leads us to where we are now. This is where I left off. This chainsaw did not come with a bar and chain. I have extra chains, and I have some new old stock bars, but I don't really want to put a new old stock bar on a chainsaw that's actually going to get used. Usually if I have to buy a new bar for a chainsaw that's going to get used, I will buy like an organ or something, not one of the vintage new old stock bars, because those usually fetch a fair price, and I usually like to save those for saws that are more as a display piece anyways, like nice original survivors that are in really nice condition. So I looked in my stash, and I found this. This bar obviously is not a Homelite, but it will bolt right up, and it is the correct bar type. And I'm going to make it fit. It's not really that hard to make this fit. I'm not really sure how to pronounce it. Sox Dalmar. I've heard of them, never messed with them. That's about all I know about them. So, the original bar was a 3/8 050, 3/8 chain 050, and that slot and those holes line up. I've actually done this swap once before, and that's what made me think of it. Lines up. It's actually, the shape back here of the bar actually matches perfectly the slot, the holes. I don't know if the holes are in the holes for the chain tensioner adjustment, if they're in the same exact position this way, but this way, up and down they are. But I know that it'll work. There's quite a bit of adjustment to that screw, so if I just move it to the correct position, it will work. I already checked that. And I already checked the oiling hole on the other side is up here. That lines up with the oiling slot, so that'll work. The only thing that didn't work was this little, this little piece here. This is your part of your chain tension adjustment. This little tab here is what sticks through the hole in the bar. Well, this does not fit. It doesn't fit. So I could either grind this down a little or I could drill that hole out bigger. But what I'd rather do is look through my assortment over here, because you know we have some different ones in here. I found this. So needs cleaned up, but excuse me, that fits. And I already tested it against the original chain tension adjustment screw for this saw, and the hole size and the threads match up, so it fits on the screw. So I'm going to be swapping out this part for this part. So anyways, let's get you guys mounted up in my camera holder, and we will continue. Alright guys, let's dive in and pick up where I left off at. So again, replacing this part with the little finger that sticks out and goes through the hole in the bar with this part. I was super excited to find that this was all I had to do to get this to fit, to get this bar to fit this saw. What in the... Okay, so we have a little problem here. Gotta take this back out and take a look at it. Might not fit that easily. Alright, so comparing these two parts, I find that I am going to have to do a little bit of grinding. Let me get this cleaned up a little bit. And this one, so I can show you. I'm going to have to do a little grinding on the new part, the part that I'm putting in. So this is the original part. You see how the back end of it, back here is rounded. And this one is flat. I'm going to have to make this one match the original one. I'm going to have to round those edges so it's rounded to get it to fit. So I'm going to do that off camera. I'm going to get the grinder out, and I'm going to take care of that, and we'll be right back. Alright guys, I'm back. And as you can see, again, the original part, the back side of it, back here, is rounded. And the part that I found that I'm going to use was not rounded. But I got out the grinder, and I ground it to fit. So now, let's see if it fits. See if it goes better. Bingo! It fits. It slides. That's going to work. That's going to work out great. So now we can go ahead and get this nut that goes on the end of that adjustment screw put back into place. Okay, I got the nut started. Go till it is tight, and then back it off just a hair. And there we are. Perfect. Now, let us see if the bar fits and if everything lines up. I'm going to go ahead and throw, oh, these are dirty. Make this thread on a little nicer. I'm just going to go ahead and throw the nuts on that hold on the clutch cover, just to kind of hold the bar in place. Oop. Yeah, that'll do. And then see if, oh, no, it's not threaded in far enough. That ain't gonna work. Well, okay. I'm just gonna hope the bar stays tight against and see if it adjusts. I covered the carburetor while I was grinding, so as not to get any grinder dust in there. Well, what do you know, guys? It appears to work as it should. It appears to work as it is intended to. And the bar is indeed moving. It's almost as if it was meant to be this way. I'm happy with that. So now this piece that I pulled out of there will go back into my parts stash. Well, that about does it for fitting this bar. Can't believe how easy that was. Last time I fit a bar to a saw that it didn't belong on, I did end up having to drill out one of these holes, or no, both of these holes for the bar, or for the chain adjustment to the next size. And yeah, I think that's all I had to do to it. But yeah, yeah, I can't believe how easy that went. And this is a brand new bar too. This is a new old stock bar. I'd gotten a whole bunch of them at one point in time. Let's see, what else do we need to do to this thing? I know it needs a good bath. I'm not going to do that on camera. I need a chain. I'm going to go find a chain. I'll be back. Alright guys, I'm back. So where we left off, I went looking for a chain for this saw. And I do not have one. I don't have one that fits this saw with this bar. The chains that I have would fit this saw with a 16-inch bar, but it's with a bar that's a little bit not so tall. So it needs a longer chain to compensate. So I'm going to be selling or trading the saw with just a bar, and they'll have to buy a chain. So anyways, let's, man, I am just tickled to death with how that bar fits with just a slight, with just changing out that little part, this little finger down here for the chain tension adjustment. So, man, that's pretty crummy looking. Let's look inside the oil tank. That don't look so bad in there. Doesn't look to be like real dirty or anything. Not anything more than you would expect. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to put some oil in here. sorry. I'm going to put some bar and chain oil Sorry about that. I'm going to put some bar and chain oil in this saw and see if it'll pump any oil. Currently it's not, but it is pretty well empty. Because we need to make sure that it will oil, that it'll lubricate. Otherwise, I mean, that's going to be an issue. I'm not going to put much in here. Make sure the funnel's clean so I'm not putting any dirt in there. I'm not going to put a lot in here because I am selling, or actually might be trading, this saw. This is bar and chain oil. I know the label's... actually, it is still there. It's hard to read, but yes, this is bar and chain oil. It's a little smoky in here. I was running this thing a little bit off camera. Man, it don't take... I only poured a little bit, and that tank is full. Holy cow. Guess it don't take much to fill it up. Hang my funnel back up. I got all my funnels hung up, and I got a lot of my tools mounted on the wall or hung up here and there to save space, to use more wall space or overhead space. All right. Let's give it some pumps. I don't see anything coming out. Wait a minute. Let me wipe that all off. See if anything fresh comes out, or if it's just a little bit that was sitting there trying to run down. The dirt and debris out of there. Spray a little 2-cycle fuel on there to kind of rinse it off. There we go. Now, let's see if it'll pump anything. That's weird. So I was pumping the plunger and it got really stiff and it won't go down. Kind of like when you pump up the pressure in the brakes in a car. It got really stiff and it will not go down. So I guess let me take out this plunger. I'm going to take the air filter cover. Hangs kind of over it, hangs off the back, kind of over that plunger. So I'm going to take that off, just so it's kind of out of my way. And that would probably be what, 7/16? Yeah, 7/16 wrench. Let's take this out and just kind of investigate. I've never really had to deal much with oiling systems on saws, so this is kind of new territory to me. Just every saw I've messed with, they always worked. So this is new to me. Let's wipe off some of this dirt around here. At least some of it. So here it is. I don't really know what I'm looking at, what I'm dealing with, because I've never actually had one of these out before. But there's the plunger. I'll set that off to the side. I'll take a look down in here. Grab my pick. I'm going to pick around and see what exactly I'm dealing with. Oh. There was a thing down inside there and it appeared to be stuck, and I got it to start moving, and then all of a sudden, and it wasn't jumping out, but all of a sudden now it jumped out at me. Well, let's pick it up and hope that we got all of the pieces. It looked like just like a kind of a plunger piece and a spring. So now, you know, that's, and there's an O-ring around it, so you know that's going to be all dirty now. So let's kind of rinse it off. This is what came flying out. It's a spring and a plunger, and I don't know how well you can see it, but there's an O-ring wrapped around there. I'm going to set this to the side and look down in there with a light now. Can't really see much. Go down there with my pick. Looks like we're down into some oil. I don't know. I'm going to put it back together and see if it'll work now. I didn't really do anything, but all we can do is try. Oh wait, that goes the other way. The spring goes down in there first. I'll try and push it down in with my pick. Is it pumping? No. I wonder if it is plugged somewhere. I wonder if we have a plug in the system somewhere. I don't know much about these. It's doing it again. There's a resistance. It's like it's a brake pedal that's built up pressure and is not wanting to go. It looks like there might be some oil flowing out of it. Yeah, there's oil coming out. Did I somehow fix it? If there is, well, there's oil there now. There wasn't before. It must just be coming out so slow. I can't really see it moving, but that's not right. It should come out. Every time you push it, you should see like a gush come out. I'm going to play around with this a little more off camera because I don't know what I'm doing, so this could get a little boring. I'll bring you guys back in a little bit. Hey guys, I'm back. So I had a breakthrough. It is now pumping oil like it should. No resistance on the plunger. Oil shooting out like it should. Yeah, very happy with that. I wish that I would have caught on camera what I did, though, so I'll just tell you. So, looking at the hole that the oil shoots out of, it's a teeny tiny hole. Maybe like a 32nd of an inch, or somewhere between there and a 16th of an inch. It was teeny tiny. So I was like, man, it feels like everything's working as it should, but maybe there's a blockage. That hole is pretty small. So I tried to find something that I could pick in there with. Couldn't find anything small enough. I'm like, well, if there is a blockage, wouldn't it be better if the hole was just slightly larger, like a 16th of an inch? Like a 1/16 hole, so that way it's less likely to get debris trapped there again. So I got my smallest drill bit, a 1/16 inch drill bit, and I very slowly and carefully started drilling out that hole. And I got in so far, and all of a sudden oil came spurting out. That pressure that had built up from the plunger and then made the plunger hard as a rock so you couldn't push it, that pressure, it relieved the pressure, whatever was blocking on the inside of that hole. You know, the drill bit drilled it out, and yeah, all that pressure came out. And as you can see, it works nicely now. Yes, very happy with that. Alright guys, so now this saw is believed to be functioning as it should. So let's just go ahead and reassemble it with what we have. Remember, we do not have a chain for it, but I do have a fresh bar to throw on there, so yeah, let's just go ahead and reassemble it with what we got. And I am going to alrighty. I am going to give this thing a bath, but not right now. Man, there is a lot of... Yeah, this thing really needs a bath. Holy cow. Alrighty, so... Let's see if I can remember how these go back on. Okay, this one, yes. This one goes to the inside because of the oiler. It's got that piece for the oiler. Oh. Hold on a second. Got to move the that part we put in, that little finger that sticks out that moves the bar to tension to tighten the chain. There we go. Now goes the bar. We just have to make, where is that little finger? There it is. Uh-oh, ran into another problem, guys. Okay. So I ran into another problem. This slot for that little finger does not, it moves the finger up. And when it does that, it does not allow it to align with the hole in the bar that it's supposed to go into. So I'm going to get out the Dremel. I'm going to slot these holes So they go, so they slot in toward this slot a little bit so that they will fit over that finger with this little plate on. Wrong one. Sorry. All right. I'll be back. Hey guys, I am back. So instead of slotting it, I decided I was missing the bit needed. I wasn't missing it, but I did not have a good bit for slotting those holes out. So I just made the holes 1/16 inch larger. It was a 1/4 inch hole, and I got I checked that with a 1/4 inch drill bit, and I got a 5/16 drill bit and made it 5/16, and now it fits. You can see the little finger is in the hole. You can see it's in there, and it holds the bar in place. And now, I know some of you are going to say, oh, that hole's way too big for it now. Nonsense. It is not too big for it. It'll work fine. I've seen many chainsaw bars where the hole is bigger. You know, it's not like just the right size for that little finger. It is a decent amount larger. I've seen them come from the factory that way. It's not really that big of a deal. It's not like this thing's going to have a lot of slop in it, because once you tighten the chain, that little finger is going to be pushing against the forward side of that hole anyways. It's not going to, the bar is not going to, if the chain is the correct tightness, tension, it's not going to be able to move around in there. The bar is not going to be able to go like this. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be stuck like that. So, should be just fine. All right, let's continue. So we got that on now. We're going to put this cover back on. The nuts. Put those on and tighten them down. They were threading on a little bit hard, so just wanted a little bit of help. A little bit of something to grab onto. Now, I'm going to give the saw one final carb tuning, one final carb adjustment if it needs it. So let's go ahead and fire it up. strange. All right, well. Alright guys, look at the smoke in here. I'm going to sit down a little bit lower because smoke's at like this level on up, so I'm going to sit down here. I do have the ventilation fans going in here. It's just going to take a minute for that to clear out. I'm just going to sit down, duck down here below it. But anyways, I think I'm going to wrap up this video there, and off camera I'm just going to tinker with the carburetor a little bit more and give her a good bath, and she will be ready to sell. Alright guys, thank you for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have not, please hit that subscribe button and share the channel with your friends, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.